I don't know what was going on with that again. I don't know why Rainbow Radio keeps failing when well, whatever. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Thursday. Some bad news from last night. We're going to talk about that today. Fatal crash between an American Airlines flight coming in from, I think it was Wichita, Kansas, but coming in from Kansas, crashed midair with an Army helicopter last night at about 5:09 p.m. at Washington, just off of Washington-Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland. All aircraft landed in the Potomac, and there were no survivors. When Sportcat and I went to bed last night at about 2 a.m, and after covering it for 2 hours, and they didn't have, and that at that point, you're about 5 hours into it, icy water. I mean, if they did survive, wow. But reports this morning said still no survivors. Not everybody was recovered, but most of the aircraft was submerged. So, yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. And there's just realistically no way. Also, Robert Kennedy was grilled yesterday. In the minds of many of us, not hard enough, but was still grilled. Nevertheless, we're going to read a lot of that, a very well written summary of it today. And then we're going to be out of here on time because I have a doctor's appointment about an hour away. So that's awesome. 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, Atlanta, WZQR, Pineland, Florida. ZQR Talks is the channel that we're on there for the website. Rainbow Radio screwing up again. I don't know what the deal is. I tested it the other day when this happened, and it worked after it didn't work on the show. The only thing that's different now is that we're also using the new streamer, which should have absolutely nothing to do with it. The new streamer by Secure Systems International, which is what we'll eventually be switching to. Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio still on BR Logic. And sorry for the blast there. Still on BR Logic. And I don't know what is causing that to not work. Excuse me. And then I've had a cough that has gotten much, much worse. It's much more frequent. It's starting to get painful. So hopefully this doctor will be taking a look at that too. 11:03 Eastern, about to be 11:04 Eastern, 8:03 Pacific. I was just thinking about. I said Pacific, and I was thinking about. Wait a minute, is Kansas City or Las Vegas with us today? And like, no, it's Thursday. They're Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. One announcement for tomorrow. Tomorrow, until further notice, will be our last show with the Tan Talk Network. We're only there once a week. I can't afford to expand it. What we're spending monthly for the weekly show is not giving us a return. And now that I'm expanding on all these other networks that are bigger than the Tan Talk, I mean, ZQR gets 2 million hits a month. I gotta seriously doubt that Tan Talk gets that in a year. And so I gotta, with Trump screwing up the economy further, if it was so bad, when he took over, clearly it's no better. I saw a picture, and I don't know how good it is, but I mean, I was at my own Walmart. They didn't even have eggs. But I saw a picture where eggs were $15 a dozen. That is more than $1 per egg. And it's not even scrambled yet. So, wow. I've got coffee somewhere, but and I know coffee is like part of my thing. It's like my shtick. But I'm also realizing I need to better hydrate. And so I'm having this sport water with me at the here at the desk in the studio, my living room. Still in the living room, not back into a studio yet. I think that's going to be a while before that happens. My goal is to maybe be back in the bedroom that was the studio. That I don't know. We'll see. As you guys all know, I'm building up. And, I just thought of something else too. I wanted to get, yeah, there we go. I wanted to share this too. Move it over there. Sorry, I'm putting together a map that we're going to share in a minute of last night's crash. But I'm building up so I don't have to do this again this coming year. And it's just a very slow process. It's just me until my dad can get back down, and then eventually my mom as well. So, anyway, let's take a look at this. Here's one of these satellite photos that I had from last night. No, I think I'm just trying to figure out how this is really going to look on your phone. I think I might just, you don't need to see me for this. So I'm just going to put myself down here. Do that a little better. And maybe not that way. This is why I need a producer. There we go. Maybe that'll. Oh, that's over there. I'm looking at the cursor on my monitor, and it's on the wrong monitor, but I'm seeing it on mine. Anyway, all right. So this is an overview. You see the yellow line. For those of you on the radio, I'll be very descriptive for you. Just hang tight. This is an overview of of Reagan Airport. That's no good. And part of the DC area. And that's the Potomac River. The Potomac River runs east-west and then bends to a kind of north-south trajectory into the Chesapeake. And I think the Chesapeake. The orange line at the bottom was the approach of the American Airlines flight and the location of its last transmission. The yellow line, as it comes down from the top left corner and comes over that protective bay area, which is one of the water landing areas right here, one of the waterfronts. This, having lived in DC for 11 and a half years, the Potomac River was like a highway for helicopters, military helicopters. They do training missions. They would go back and forth from right here, the Pentagon, generals, being transported. So this is nothing new. This was at a Fort Belvoir, which is further south, and it was on its return trip back to the fort on whatever nighttime training mission it was on. And the transcript of sorts, it's not an official transcript, but I saw a news outlet posted the conversation that went between the flight and the tower and the flight in the tower, and then also the tower and the military aircraft. The last transmission of the American Airlines flight was at 8:48:01 p.m., about 2 minutes before 9, or I'm sorry, about 12 minutes before 9, at about an altitude of 350 feet. Last transmission was a little bit before that for the Army helicopter, but 8:47:58, so within seconds. 47:58, 59, 60 would be 8:48, 8:48:01. 3 seconds later was the American Airlines flight. I don't know why yet, and maybe this has changed, but the American Airlines flight changes runways. The tower asks the flight if it can land on a smaller runway. The aircraft was a commuter jet. 60 passengers were on board. 70 was the max, so 10 open seats on the flight. And so it's not a big plane. I've landed on that runway in a plane like that, so I know it can. For those of you with a video, this was the initial runway. I don't know what that one's named. I don't know what that one's labeled. But runway 33 is this one here. And you see that it has adjusted and is coming into direct shot down that runway. The tower confirms with the Army helicopter that they've got a visual on, and they it's like CGT or something like that. It's the type of passenger jet that American Airlines was flying. And according to the transcript, you don't hear anything from the Army helicopter. They confirmed then with American Airlines to land on 33, and the tower directs the helicopter to pass behind the American Airlines flight. So instead of taking the course that it is, it should veer to its left to the east and then pass the flight to the southeast and to the south and continue south to Fort Belvoir. That's not what happened. And I'm not going to show it now because many of you are on audio only or radio or some sort of format like that. So it's not really going to. But last night, when I co-hosted with Sportcat, he was on Jurg's radio, but he was also on his video formats. And we showed the video of the surveillance footage from the security cameras of the Kennedy Center, which is further. You see the Lincoln Memorial. You see the Lincoln Memorial on the map. Just up past that on the right is the Kennedy Center. It's just off this map. Well, actually, I think it might be that white dot right there, come to think of it. Yeah, that's it there. That's the Kennedy Center. And the one security camera of outdoor security had a straight shot to the collision and recorded the collision in real time. And so, not quite sure how that was released to the general public or to whoever, but we saw the video last night within hours of the collision. It was a fiery collision. The fuselage from the aircraft from the American Airlines flight was in 3 pieces. And when they saw it submerged underwater, there were still people strapped in their seats. So it was Sportcat's estimation, having seen similar types of submersions, that they didn't know what hit them. And that, for what it's worth, it was as painless and peaceful as possible. But yeah, as best as we know, and like I said, I can't hardly imagine anybody survived that. No survivors after plane crash as of 8 minutes ago. So yeah, that's a final. There's a Black Hawk helicopter from the Army. And yeah, so that's all we got there. The CEO of American Airlines is blaming the Army. And of course, T-Rump said something stupid as well. I forget what it was, but yeah. Trump says Reagan National Airport crash could have been prevented. Is that what you say the day of the crash? Because he said it last night. Is that what you say? Why didn't helicopter go up or down? Is what he asked. Clearly, this asshat has never flown a helicopter at night or an airplane or done anything where somebody wasn't doing it for him. Congratulations, maggots. That's what you voted for. That's who is talking about 3 honored dead of the U.S. Army. Well done. Oh, this is awesome. I got something for you when we come back. I've got to take a break. I'm way over for this, but we got 40 minutes left, so we'll get it in. I can't wait to share this when we come back. 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, ZQR, and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back with some vintage Trump after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. So, yeah. This is what you voted for. This is it. Trying to get there we go. This is what you picked, guys. Let's do this one first. This is the one I promised you. Donald Trump senses a conspiracy in American Airlines plane crash. The synopsis, according to the Economic Times, Donald Trump has raised concerns over the tragic midair collision between an American Airlines jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. An American Airlines passenger jet collided with the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. Let's move that over here. Over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. on January 29th, 2025. The tragic midair crash resulted in multiple fatalities, with at least 19 bodies recovered so far. The aircraft was carrying U.S. figure skaters and coaches returning from a national development camp. Authorities are investigating the cause of the collision, but former President Donald Trump has raised concerns about possible foul play. I don't know if the Economic Times English edition, Economic Times. Okay, so it's international. Like, I would guess this is an American paper, but apparently it's not because this is an international story, which for us it wouldn't be. But I mean, even I recognize that he's no longer a former president, as much as it pains me. President Trump's reaction to the American Airlines crash. Donald Trump questioned the circumstances surrounding the plane crash, suggesting that the incident seemed preventable. Speaking about the crash, he pointed out that the American Airlines jet was flying under clear night conditions with lights on, which should have made it visible to the helicopter crew. Something doesn't seem right about this crash, Trump reportedly said, hinting at a possible deeper issue. He also criticized air traffic control, asking whether there was any negligence in guiding the two aircraft. According to investigators, federal authorities, including the FBI, are investigating the crash to determine the exact cause. All I've seen about the FBI so far is that some of their divers were assisting with the recovery of the bodies. So far, there is no official confirmation of foul play or terrorism. The National Transportation Safety Board is also analyzing the flight data and air traffic control communication to understand what went wrong. The rescue team continues search efforts in the Potomac River, but officials say the chances of finding any more survivors are slim. The American Airlines crash led to a temporary shutdown of operations at Ronald Reagan National Airport, causing disruptions to flights. Travelers were advised to check with airlines for updates. The tragic event was sparked reactions from political leaders in the aviation industry, with many calling for stricter air safety measures. More Band-Aids on a bullet wound. Support services are being provided to the families of the victims as the nation mourns this shocking incident. Donald Trump questions how the crash happened despite clear night conditions. He hinted at possible negligence and suggested deeper issues might be involved. It was later at night, so I don't know that there were really that many more disruptions other than the fact that it wasn't opening until at least 11 a.m. today. And I don't know if it's opened yet or not. Initially, when we first went on the air last night, it was not opening till Friday. So that's different. But here's the other stupid thing he said. Trump questions how American Airlines plane crash happened. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down? President, these guys got it right. The Independent President Donald Trump has questioned the actions of both the helicopter crew and air traffic controllers prior to a deadly midair collision on Wednesday night outside Reagan Washington National Airport. The crash involved an American Airlines aircraft carrying 64 passengers and crew, and the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter carrying 3 people. All those on board are feared dead, though officials say they would not be able to provide confirmation on the status of rescue efforts until Thursday morning. President Trump said he has been briefed on the terrible accident in a brief official statement offering prayers for those on board. But he then took to his Truth Social platform to speculate about what caused the crash. One of the biggest no-nos, and one of the first things you should not do when you don't have all the information, is speculate. You would think that somebody who's dealt with stocks and valuations of a company, given that he's such a good businessman, you would think he would know that. You would think that somebody who's been in the White House before would know that. You would think. He said the crash could have been prevented. Any accident could have been prevented. That's why it's called an accident. Somebody made a mistake. Now's not the time to realize that. Why didn't the control tower tell a helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? Because you know what's said in a control tower. Oh, this is painful. This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. And then in all capitals, he gets everybody going by saying, not good. Oh, this is what you voted for, maggots. God forbid you read this knowing your family member or loved one was on that American Airlines flight or was one of those 3 service members out there practicing to protect our country. The American Airlines flight originated from Kansas, and while officials have not yet confirmed any deaths in the incident, what? When do they write these stories? Was this from, this has to be from last night. I hope this was from last night. Thursday, January 30th, 5:16 Eastern. This is from this morning, and they still haven't confirmed any. Yes, they did. We saw that last night. Well, I mean, anyway, yeah, I'm pretty much going to stop there because why? There's 2 accounts. I see why you don't speculate. These people have sources and they get it wrong. Speaking of sources and getting it wrong, let's take a look at Fox and see how they can screw it up today. Trump says Reagan National Airport crash could have been prevented. Clear night. Nearly 300 first responders are searching for survivors after a deadly collision between an American Airlines jet, Army Black Hawk helicopter outside Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump suggested the horrific collision between an Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines jet near Reagan National Airport outside Washington, D.C. late Wednesday could have been prevented. Quote, the airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time, Trump posted on Truth Social early Thursday morning. Well, do I still have that up? I don't believe I do. Did I cover it up? Oh, there it is. Okay. When you see this extended period of time, which is not true, that's not far. That is not far at all. And the airplane, I haven't found a speed of the helicopter. I know a Black Hawk can go about 180 miles an hour. No, I haven't found. Ken wants to know if ever said who the pilot was. Just that the helicopter was on a training mission, and the smaller plane was on its way home from Kansas. But if you look at this for those of you with the video, the yellow line is the helicopter, and it's basically doing a loop around the airport, essentially following the contour of the river, which, like I told you earlier in the show, I see multiple helicopters a day taking that exact same path when I lived in Washington, D.C., and especially when I was the airport agent at that airport. My last assignment in the Washington field office was as the lead airport agent for the Washington field office at Reagan Airport. So my responsibilities were, when we had new agents join the team of airport agents. So like when a protectee shows up and they're taking a flight out, whether it's on the VIP side where there's like chartered flights, or if they're taking a commercial flight, we're the guy waiting for them at the curb. We're the guy waiting for them at plane side. And we're the one that coordinates with the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority to confirm that there's a security plan in place and everybody's going to be fine. I saw helicopters like this Black Hawk multiple times a day, every day. That amount of distance from, I think that's Haynes Point. If you're familiar with the rumor where that 8 is at 847.58, right here, this is Haynes Point. This is where supposedly, and I have no idea because I've not been in them, I don't know, but supposedly there were tunnels dug from the White House, which if you go, this is the Jefferson Memorial, this is the Washington Monument. Up here, just off the photo, is the White House. It goes underground all the way down this island to Haynes Point, where they can also lift off and evacuate the president in a much more clandestine fashion because nobody knows he's going there, or she eventually. But anyway, that's Haynes Point. I saw helicopters come through there all the time. This area of the airport is where the chartered flights come in and out of. You know, this is where Donald Trump would park that ugly 757 or his helicopters that are falling apart. This area is the commercial. In fact, that area right there, that is the old A terminal. The original Reagan Airport was just this little circle of space right there. And then it's building this way as they make, I think now there's like, see, A, B, C, I think there's like E and F terminals. It's so much bigger now since they were in the process of building it when I left there in December of 2018. Of course, that was this past December. It would be 6 years ago. So hopefully they're further along. But no, the president's wrong. He does not have plenty of time. And that's why they crashed. Because there was a last minute change of runways. And like I said, I didn't have access to that part of the conversation. I don't know why. But and apparently something wasn't right, because I also read that the American Airlines pilot had made this flight more than once previously. So it's not like this first time in and not familiar with the appearance. I mean, you can see from that photo, that's during the day. And when you compare that to Pennsylvania Avenue up here, this is East Pennsylvania Avenue. Hits the Capitol, continues, and hits the White House. I'm sorry, that's not it. It's up here. This one's Pennsylvania Avenue. My bad. That then be it's one of the interstates. I can't remember which one. 695, I think. But I mean, look how wide that is, and look how wide these aren't as wide. That's the runway. So, you know, when you're looking at something like that at night, that's why the runways are, you know, look like a damn Christmas tree, to make it that obvious. So I don't know why there was a sudden change in the runways. Like I said earlier in the show, he was supposed to be using this one, and I don't know what that name is. The number of that runway. They're numbered by longitude and latitude. So that's why this one's 33. You know how it would come up on a dial when you're coming in this direction, and then when you're coming from the other direction, it's a totally differently numbered runway because it's a different position on the dial. I saw that on the another picture that we used last night. But so he switched to 33. You can see that the American Airlines flight is lined up to go right into it. But this amount of space is not that far. And the American Airlines flight was decelerating at that time, was about 140 miles an hour. That's why you do that jerk when you hit the ground, because you're moving. You're moving along. And I promise you that helicopter was not much different. You know, having been not in Blackhawks for me, but I've been in the large Bell helicopters. If you've seen a Vietnam movie, and you see the helicopters that were used in Vietnam, those at that time were made by a company called Hughes, hence the name Huey is what those helicopters were often nicknamed. Hughes was bought by Bell, and like the news chopper is the Jet Ranger. It was made by Bell. They also make these bigger mid-size helicopters formerly made by Hughes. That's what the Park Police, for example, was flying, still does fly. That's what I flew in. Sikorsky makes the Black Hawk. And Sikorsky makes the S-76, which is also a mid-size. It's a little smaller than a Black Hawk. And that's what I think we showed pictures of it before. That's what Trump's family flies. They own 3. I think they're actually all for sale, actually. But they owned 3 S-76. I think they were B. It goes A, B, C, C+, C++, C+++, 3 pluses. And then the most recent model is the S-76D, is in Delta. That's the newest model of Sikorsky helicopter. So, yeah, the last thing I read as far as the transcript was the tower telling the helicopter to pass behind. So you see where they're coming together. The yellow line should be moved to its east and to the left of the aircraft, to the port side of the aircraft, so as to go behind through space that the airplane already passed through, thereby avoiding the collision. So based on that, yes, you can judge that perhaps the Army helicopter is in fault. But we're not there yet. Clearly, there was a switch in runways. Why did that happen? Maybe we don't switch runways at the last minute and instead circle around much more safely at a higher altitude. This doesn't happen too. And unfortunately, the American Airlines CEO jumped to that conclusion as well. So again, Donnie siding with the tech people and the big money people. And, you know, that also, don't get me wrong, that without question sucks for the 64 people on board the airplane. But like I said, as far as laying blame, you know, based on similar incidents that I've seen while being the airport agent there and other airport agent locations throughout the country, We're not there yet. Not even, what are we at? 15 hours later? We're not there yet. But Trump knows better than the National Transportation Safety Board. He's probably going to get rid of them too. All right, I got to take one more break, and then we're going to talk about Robert Kennedy and how some senators made him sweat yesterday. So you're listening to Up the Middle. Thanks for joining us. We will be back right after this. Hey, what's in your wallet? Well, if you want something that gives you zero fraud liability for unauthorized use, flexible due dates, just look in your wallet or look in mine. Go to CapitalOne.com. Actually, go to my Facebook page, click on the affiliates link, and find Capital One. Use my link to apply today. Capital One. Yerg's on Cameo. That's right. For a mere $5, you can have me chew you out like you were on a phone call. I can hang up on you. Or I can wish you a happy birthday. I can also answer a question you might have about my career in the Secret Service. Keep in mind, there's some things I can't answer. And if that's what the type of question you ask, and you ask, let me decide if it's something that I can't answer. And if that's the case, I'll still give you a good message anyway. For a mere $5, go to cameo.com/yergs/book or scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. For those of you on video. I'm liking the music. For those of you in Florida. Well, that's up there. Okay. Well, up in the top corner of your screen is a rainforest. It's a QR code for Biz Growth Collective. Go to bizgrowthcollective.com. Register your business. This is the serious professional version of LinkedIn. And if you're going to want to get on it, and you will want to get on this, but you're not in Florida, hit me a message. See if I can get our email up there too. Oh, it brings my thing down. Oh, well. Hit me a message at newsnewz@yergz.com, and we'll absorb you into the Yerger group. And you can you'll need your own EIN, which they'll help you get if you need to. But you can always use my address. I'm going to get Facebook. I'm going to give a shout out to one of my high school English teachers, Phil Repko. Found a real good summary of Bobby's thing yesterday. Let me find this here. I didn't get a chance to. There we go. Man, he's busy posting. So you're having a day here with it. Good Lord. Yeah. Oh, where's that? Did he take it down? There was a good. I thought it was Phil. It was from. Oh, actually, you know what else I can get it? See if I still have it on my phone. Oh, it just reset. Oh, damn it. There we go. Okay, found it. Good, good, good. Oh, it goes back further. Okay. So here is, this is actually from the joint, I guess it's a group or a page. This is from Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger against Trump. I need to follow that, by the way. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. walked into a Senate confirmation hearing. Let me get rid of this music. Can you hear it in the background like that? That's not too bad, right? No, you can't hear it. Like it out. Get rid of it. All right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. walked into his Senate confirmation hearing like a man stepping onto an ice rink wearing banana peels for shoes. He had one job: convince the world that he was not a bug-eyed conspiracy theorist who once hoarded a whale head and left a bear carcass in Central Park. Instead, he walked out as the leading cause of migraines among Democratic senators. This was supposed to be his moment of redemption. His big "I'm not actually insane" speech instead turned into a political demolition derby featuring protesters screaming that he was a liar and a killer, Bernie Sanders interrogating him about baby clothes, Elizabeth Warren asking if he planned to run HHS like a side hustle, and a surreal moment where Kennedy had to confirm that he probably said Lyme disease was a military bioweapon. Sorry, it's too small a font. I can't see. Where did I lose my spot now? Yeah. By the end of the day, Capitol Police had forcibly removed more people from the chamber than a dive bar on St. Patrick's Day. Kennedy barely got through his opening statement before a woman exploded from the gallery like a jack-in-the-box filled with rage and science degrees. "You lie," she screamed, holding up a sign that read "Vaccines Save Lives," before being swiftly tackled and dragged out by the Capitol Police. Kennedy blinked rapidly, which is how you know he was hearing the voice of the worm that used to live in his brain, whispering, "Abort mission, Bobby, abort mission." A brief moment of peace settled over the room, and then it happened again. "You're killing people," another protester howled, launching into a full-body rage spiral before security carried her out, legs kicking like a screaming suitcase with opinions. Kennedy took a deep breath and tried to regain his footing, but Senator Rob Wyden had been waiting for his moment like a prosecutor with a personal vendetta. "Are you lying to us, Mr. Kennedy?" Wyden snapped, staring daggers at him. Kennedy forced a nervous smile, but it came out looking like he's been told he had to fight a horse for a parking spot. I'm not used to the creativity when I read the news. "That claim has been repeatedly debunked," he said, attempting to sound reasonable despite an entire room full of people who were watching YouTube compilations of him saying the exact opposite. Wyden wasn't buying it. "You signed to restrict access to the COVID vaccine. Did you or did you not?" Kennedy mumbled something about the petition being misrepresented as the air in the room thickened with sweat, bad decisions, and organic supplements. Wyden was gearing up for a finishing blow when another protester detonated like a landmine. "You're a fraud," she shrieked as security dragged her away in a full-body lock. Even the cops looked exhausted by this point. Then came Bernie Sanders, a man who has not been in the mood for nonsense since 1972. "Are you supportive of these baby onesies?" he demanded. The room froze. Kennedy's brain crashed like a Windows 98 PC. Excuse me? Sanders lifted a printed out photo of a baby bodysuit covered in anti-vaccine slogans. These are being sold by the Children's Health Defense, the organization you founded. Kennedy looked like he had just accidentally eaten a ghost pepper and was trying to play it cool. I don't have oversight over that organization anymore, he mumbled. Sanders crackled his knuckles like a man ready to fistfight a CEO and leaned in. Are you supportive of these onesies? Kennedy started sweating through his suit. Laughter rippled through the room. A Republican senator actually covered his face. Kennedy, now looking desperate for a fire alarm to pull, tried to pivot to the real passion, banning corn syrup. Sanders wasn't having it. Then Elizabeth Warren took the mic, radiating pure prosecutorial energy. Will you commit to not taking money from pharmaceutical companies while serving as Secretary of Health? She asked, in the tone of a woman who already knew the answer, but was going to enjoy watching him squirm. Kennedy grinned like a dog that just chewed up your furniture and is hoping you'll laugh it off. I don't think they wanted to give me money, he chuckled. Warren did not chuckle. Will you commit to not profiting from lawsuits against pharmaceutical companies while serving as HHS Secretary? Kennedy froze. The color drained from his face. You're asking me not to sue drug companies? He said, voice raising. No, I'm not going to agree to that. Warren's eyes gleamed like a hawk spotting a wounded rabbit. So you'll be suing the same companies you're supposed to regulate. Kennedy looked like he wanted to melt into his chair. Then came Michael Bennett, a man who had been waiting patiently to drop a grenade into Kennedy's lap. Wow. Did you say that Lyme disease was a military-engineered bioweapon? Bennett asked, deadpan. Kennedy hesitated. I probably said that. The audience gasped. Bennett cocked an eyebrow. Did you say that pesticides turn children transgender? Kennedy turned bone white. I don't recall saying that. Bennett's lip twitched. But you do recall saying Lyme disease was a bioweapon. Kennedy looked like he had been hit by a transgender dart. Even the Republican senators were staring at their desks, avoiding eye contact. The hearing finally adjourned, but Kennedy is not in the clear yet. His next grilling is scheduled for tomorrow, and there's no telling that would be today, and there's no telling how much worse it can get. His opponents smell blood. His supporters are already crafting conspiracy theories about the deep state. And if the vote ends in a deadlock, Vice President J.D. Vance will cast the deciding vote. Yes, J.D. Vance, the political equivalent to a wet cardboard box, will determine if a man once partially controlled by a brain parasite will run America's health system. The nation waits in suspense. Pass the whiskey. Yeah. So there's Kennedy. All right, gang. We are wrapping up. Tomorrow, Friday fights, and it's going to be good because I think I've already proven this country is in a state of civil war. And that Hitler is like a distant uncle to Trump. Join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, 4 p.m. London time, locally in London, England, where we'll be on the UG.media. We'll also be on the rest of the Mastiff Media Network and our final show on the Tan Talk Network in the Tampa Bay area. Thanks for running with us and getting off the porch with the big dogs and running up the middle. We'll see you tomorrow.